Hey, what up everybody? This is Steve Breach coming to you, and this is a video talking about Mick Foley lobbying for a WWE return. Mick Foley, as he does, takes to his Facebook account and honestly blogs a lot about what is going on in WWE. You can think back to basically the Daniel Bryan push leading to WrestleMania 30, just basically Mick Foley saying that he was disgusted. I believe it was with the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Basically saying that he wanted to throw a hammer, I believe it was, through his television set after Daniel Bryan wasn't involved in the Royal Rumble, not giving any of the 30 numbers in order to get in there. WWE at the time was trying to tell a certain story with Daniel Bryan, and they weren't listening to the fans respond. It was basically saying that they really wanted to see Daniel Bryan be the guy in WWE. There was something a little bit, stale with WWE, and they wanted it to be a little bit changed. And WWE should be listening to the fans. I know that they went out and they re-signed Batista, who was a guy that the fans have been wanting to return for a long time, but Batista just came back at the wrong time. And Daniel Bryan was the guy that really wanted to see. Daniel Bryan not winning the Royal Rumble and Batista winning, really set off a lot of fans. You can remember seeing the picture of Batista celebrating his Royal Rumble victory, and a lot of fans making their way towards the exit. You can even look and see in the front row that many of the seats were already empty. Those hardcore fans just didn't want to see this. Even with Roman Reigns versus Batista in the final two spots, people didn't really know what they wanted to root for. Roman Reigns would have been a good victory because nobody really saw it coming. But also at the same time, people thought that Roman Reigns was a little bit too early. But basically, Mick Foley has even gone to his Facebook, saying other things about WWE, just basically saying that he didn't like the direction of WrestleMania, even after WrestleMania 30, that he wasn't going to sign his Legends contract, that he was basically going to become a free agent. Mick Foley does a lot away from WWE, basically, with the Legends contract. Be featured on the WWE Network doing things. They'd be able to make T-shirts. They'd be able to make figures. That's good money for Foley. But he does the comedy show that a lot of people know about. And basically, you got to give it up to Foley. I mean, if he really strung to his guns and he really believed that he didn't like what WWE was doing right there, and the only way to stand up was not to sign the Legends deal and try and show WWE that they needed a change. They needed to go in a different direction. How many guys out there do you think on Legends contracts don't give a shit about what's going on in WWE today? Don't even watch Raw, don't watch SmackDown, don't watch TNA. They just basically sign their checks, put them in the bank, and just go on living their day knowing that Vince McMahon, is paying him some money for basically not doing anything, besides just, selling what they had done in the past. It would be really easy for Foley to do that, and, basically he got to the point where, he didn't like being in WWE, and he got to the point where he just hated doing announcing, the point where he basically quit, which led to him going to TNA, something that I think he regrets the way that it ended, but I don't think he really regrets going there. He was able to, be featured on their television. He got to win the championship one more time in a time when WWE really wasn't even using him in the ring. He would do this, that, or the other. They had sort of put him out to pasture with that announcer's job. But now, Mick Foley has gone out and said basically that he thinks there's a good chance that he could be asked to be the next Raw GM. And if he was, asked if he would take that job, he would take it. I think that Mick Foley would be a good GM of Raw, but it's something that we saw back in the Attitude Era. I know that people like to jump onto the Attitude Era things, when The Rock comes back, or when Stone Cold Steve Austin does, trying to say, basically using sex and violence and blood and guts and everything that went down back there. The Attitude Era Volume 1 was a great DVD. Attitude Era seems to be selling really well. Saw a lot of people going out and buying that this week. And doing unboxings and showing pictures of it on Twitter and things like that. But I don't know. I mean, if you go back, AJ wasn't the greatest GM of Monday Night Raw, but AJ getting the job of being the Raw GM, and I think they went down on Raw 1000 when she was supposed to marry Daniel Bryan and walked out on him. I think that was a real big shock to the system and a surprise, and it sent WWE in a different direction that nobody really saw what was going down. AJ was able to use her sort of crazy storyline where she was involved with Daniel Bryan. She used that to twist around CM Punk and John Cena. She even got Kane involved with the Hell No storyline, which it ended up they had the tag match at WrestleMania 29, and they didn't really play off that angle as much as they thought they would. Basically of her man Dolph Ziggler and Biggie Langston. They didn't even go into the whole, AJ banging Big E. I thought that was going to be the way that they turned Dolph Ziggler babyface back in the day. But I don't know. I can go either way. I can remember when Mick Foley was the GM of Saturday Morning Slam. He sort of, from interviews that I've heard, that sort of broke off bad. I mean, they gave him the job. They never told him that it was seasonal work. The WWE, the show ended for the first season, and they went into a hiatus, and they were going to come back for season 2, which never came back. I'm still sitting here and waiting. Saturday Morning Slam, as far as a half-hour television show, is one of the best shows of all time. I'll always remember, basically, Crime Time trying to get out of a match with the Usos, saying that there was a Saturday morning, fish fry at 8 a.m. That they had to get to, and they weren't going to be able to have a match, which Mick Foley ended up making it a singles match, which I think it was Titus O'Neil came out to help Darren Young anyways, and then it involved in becoming a tag match. Just really, really fun stuff. I know that, they weren't able to show each other hitting each other in the head and doing sort of things, which turned into, Rey Mysterio giving a 619, but having to hit Curtis Axel in his butt instead of the face like he does for most 619s. And, weird camera turns with showing the announcers or showing the crowd during certain points of the matches. But it was fun. It was different. And it was some sort of a way to get kids watching WWE, which is, we need to get these kids on board if you want there to be an Attitude Era, something for, whoever's in charge, Triple H, whoever, to say like, oh shoot, we're losing these kids because they're getting older, and then boom, then you switch to trying to get WWE pointed towards teenagers and young adults and things like that. That's why the Attitude Era came to light, because basically Vince finally realized these people that grew up watching wrestling throughout the 80s and 90s were older now, and you needed to keep those people, or you're going to lose a good bulk of your people that were going down. Foley would be a good GM. Hopefully he does get the job. Everybody knows that Survivor Series, the Authority's job is basically on the line. If the Team Authority loses to Team Cena, basically they're going to be stripped of all their power, and they're going to need some sort of a GM in order to run Raw, or it's just going to be, hellfire and brimstone over there. Just everybody fighting, everybody throwing each other around. One of the best things TNA ever did was basically put Jim Cornette in there as the Authority figure of Impact, because it sort of, put that sort of stamp on there. It made everything not so crazy, even though him just being there, which, then led to him. No, wait a minute. If I'm talking about TNA, he didn't have any power there. He was just a guy on TV. I started to mix him up with ROH. But, that when they lost Cornette, Foley came in and took that job, but then he just sort of merged into being a wrestler, and then once again, everything just sort of lost its train of thought about where everybody was going. It was just, you want to go out there and beat everybody up, go out there and beat everybody up. There was no authority to threaten a fine or suspension or firing him for messing up a television show. It just lost everything. But best of hopes to bang bang Mick Foley in the future, getting back into WWE.